I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investmentpitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have James Wo, the founder and chairman of ETC Labs and the Digital Finance Group. James, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
So I'd like to start a little bit off about talking about ETC Labs and then the state of cryptocurrency right now. First of all, why did you guys start ETC Labs and what is your goal for growing the community?
Yeah, so we started ETC Lab Q2 last year, and we started ETC Core kind of like a Q4 last year. The overall, it's we are both running core team and also the incubator. So our goal is really to enrich the whole ecosystem of Ethereum Classic. So we are here to contribute to try to make ETC a better blockchain. So that is the overall the goal. The reason why we select ETC is basically two reasons. The first, from the technical reason, ETC is comparable with Ethereum. We think it's definitely have very good knowledge. So we think this is the blockchain which is undervalued. The second is on the market side and liquidity side. ETC is ranked around number 7 or number 8, but it's ranked 20 is on the market cap, and we're seeing that there's a huge gap of opportunity here. So you want to contribute more to make it better.
That's great. And there's a lot of underlying value in Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. And, Ethereum is known for having a huge developer base and a lot of development going towards the next protocol. And Ethereum Classic has a lot of, almost all that same foundation upon it. Can you give a glimpse of what does the Ethereum Classic developer community look like right now? How many people are involved, and are there a lot of people doing active development?
Yeah, sure. ETC actually have a lot of great developers. In our team, we got a 16 in-house developer, and we work closely with some a famous company in this industry like Whiteblock and ChainSafe. They also developed Office 2.0, and also we got a lot of great contributor from the community side. They want to contribute to the ETC protocol. So overall, the community. The tech community in ETC is pretty big, and also since Ethereum is comparable with Ethereum Classic, we also get a lot of support from the Ethereum community who's willing to contribute to Ethereum Classic. So we have a lot of communication with each other. So overall, the tech community of ETC is pretty large.
That's great, and I know that the developers are very focused on Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, whether it is a bear market or a bull market. And as we've seen since the tip in 2017, it's been quite a bear market for traders, but the development seems to continue. And hopefully we are soon entering a new bull market. And I know you talked about this on Twitter recently, but what are your top 2 predictions for the next crypto bull market?
Oh, I will, for sure say it will be a certain Ethereum Classic. So overall, we see, Bitcoin for sure have a lot of value as digital asset, but Ethereum Classic is kind of like a blockchain. You can put different application use case on top of it. So in different kind of perspective, it have a lot of value on that as well. But you have some other blockchain want to make sure solve the kind of scalability of Ethereum, but use a centralized way. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So public blockchain should be decentralized, and Ethereum Classic is really a really decentralized blockchain, and I have a very great ecosystem. So we think on the kind of both of the chain have a very solid value. That's for one reason. And the second, for the second market have its own logic. You have Bitcoin price goes up a lot at the first half of this year, but Ethereum and ETC didn't catch up yet. So we think about the logic of the second market itself. Maybe next year we will have a big increase of price of Ethereum. That's from the logic of the second market itself. So that's the second reason. For the third, from the policy side, we got CFTC definitely committed to claim Bitcoin as a commodities. But in the next year, but I'm not sure about the detailed timetable. But next year, whatever, for sure they will view Ethereum for sure Ethereum Classic as a commodity, and from that side, it's also pretty friendly toward these two cryptocurrency.
That's great. And I love that you brought up that third point about having those traditional financial instruments to help bring more institutional investors into the market. And right now, it seems like it's very focused on Bitcoin. How much weight do you think institutional interest and new money from institutional investors coming into the crypto market will affect the bull market, the next bull market that we see whenever it is?
Yeah, sure. I think it will be. I guess it will be the most important reason. To be very honest, there's two ways for you to bring a crypto market into a bull market. The first is find a really killer app, the use cases. It will be a kind of like decentralized applications. It kind of like the ICO 2 years ago. But how to find that apps, that's just really a question. You need probably scalability. You need great like a solid foundation infrastructure to find an app. And then you need a use case which really makes sense in different kind of industry. For example, in the finance industry, you try like a different kind of like build different DAX on the on blockchain, but really, you need really scalability for this. So it's really very hard to find a use case. But if you find one, that will be the disruptive one. Everyone will use it. So, but it takes really a lot of time. The other way is like, when more people believe into the blockchain technology, believing into public blockchain, they were huge capital were moving to the place. Maybe because technology is good, maybe because policy is mature, they were moving to the industry. They will cause like a very, very direct also impact on the second market that the price will go up, then bring back the bull market. So I think the second reason is like the first reason is probably we can bring a very long term and really kind of like a great bull market, but it really takes time. When it comes, it will be disruptive. But the second is like it's like a more like a stable, but but it comes I guess much quicker than the first one. But it just we need the capital moving into place. And I think, to be very honest, might be probably my prediction for the timetable could be probably second half of the next year will be the start of the bull market.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you mentioned, having a killer dApp, and there are a lot of people building dApps on Ethereum Classic right now, and as well, more money coming into the space. And with Ethereum Classic Labs, you guys are actually actively investing in projects in the space. I saw that you guys invested in at least 20 different startups this year. That's great. Can you talk a little bit about, what was the investment thesis and what did you look for in these investment opportunities?
Got it. So we are kind of like more focused on the kind of like infrastructure level business. So it's very hard for us to pick the winners for now. So we decide not to. We want to do what we want to do here is like build a solid really foundation for this and make sure everyone can build use case and application on top of it. For example, our portfolio company including like a very tech related kind of like company like Ethernet, like ChainSafe, they are really building the infrastructure of the protocol. So what we are going to do, we don't want to select winner. It's very hard to select a winner, right? There are probably like more than like hundreds of companies which build the use cases. We decide probably touch that part as less as possible, but try to build a solid infrastructure. Then we are fine with finding the great use cases. So overall, what we hear is like we think a solid foundation is a key to the success of the user case. If you build a solid foundation, whatever developer, whatever project built on top of it, it will feel much easier to build a kind of application. They are actually going to build it, and I'm pretty sure some of them will be the killer app in the future.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that you mentioned that. I've heard of a lot of other investment funds simply looking at not use cases, but infrastructure, and is there a point that you see when, there will be a saturation in investment in infrastructure and, dApps will be, everyone will be investing and creating dApps, or is infrastructure sort of the hot thing right now to be investing in?
I agree. So, blockchain overall, crypto is still very early stage. So build a solid infrastructure is really the key here. Just like an internet business, if you take a look at internet business, you must have like an iOS, Windows, those kind of things has been built. Then you can build like a WeChat, Facebook on top of it, right? So it's kind of about a timetable. I just think there won't be massive adoptions, for crypto and blockchain, at least for now. We are talking about like the 10 years, 20 years. So it's very hard for you to build kind of like application, be successful without a solid foundation for now.
Hmm.
So it's just a matter of time. So right now at this stage of the crypto, we think infrastructure is more important than the use cases. So what we are trying to build here is really, the protocol level of business, make
Hmm.
sure it works, then, people can build application on top of it.
Yeah. Now, for these investments that you guys have made and for crypto companies in general, how much weight do you think these companies rely on the industry being in a bull market? If the bull market happens to take, an extra year or it takes 2 years or way slower than expected, do you see that these companies will not be able to survive? Or is it because they're usually getting, traditional fiat cash through their investments that it doesn't really affect them? How much does the bull and bear market play into startups?
Just clarification, you are talking the portfolio of DFG, not ETC Lab, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So we are, for us, we manage like $550 million, but overall we only invest into 20 projects. A lot of things, the holdings of our portfolios are the coins on the secondary market. So it will be, the price is very important here for the kind of AUM we are managing. But I don't see, Bitcoin either will die because of the bear market. But just, they're okay with it. But it's just about the price, whether it decrease or increase. But anyway, we are buy and hold for long-term strategies. So we are okay with that. For the companies we have invested on the primary market, it's also very later stage company like Ledger X, Brave, Block, these kind of company, they have, a lot of cash on the balance sheet. They raised, a lot of money under, 2 years ago. So I think, they are okay to survive the crypto winters. But it for sure, I mean, the price influence them. If they hold Bitcoin and Ether, they will have less money to develop the platform. But overall, I think it's just about whether the founder of the company can, choose the right strategy about the crypto window. You should have less people. You should, control the cost. You should make sure you survive, but, without, kind of like a stop there, developing your platform, right? So that is the whole logic. But, overall, we care about later stage company. We care about like more mature business. We care about the business, have the verified business model. So overall, they are okay to survive the crypto winters. But overall, it's so bad. I'm pretty sure 90% or above 80% of company will kind of face cash flow profit in such kind of bear market. But it's actually, it's actually a good thing when you have, good technology, great like cash support, great teams, great business model. That means you can survive. That actually are good things for the industry to become mature in the future. You don't need such kind of like that kind of like a lot of company in the industry. You just need a good business, right? So actually, I don't view this as a negative thing, but it's really a thing you cannot avoid, but actually a good thing will benefit the industry in the long term.
And I think that, raising the cash and having a nice cash on your balance sheet and managing your expenses is one thing, but having an extended bear market where your cash flow and your actual business requires more adoption of the blockchain industry. Some of these companies are building a product that maybe it's too technical or maybe not enough people are using it because the crypto industry hasn't gotten big enough yet. Do you foresee that as a problem? Maybe some of these companies are a little bit too early?
Yeah, I do. There are a lot of like kind of companies which don't have verified business model. They won't put everything into the blockchain. That's not going to work. I think blockchain itself is really the doesn't necessarily to make sense for every industry. I can divide it into two. For centralized business model, it's more like a good bridge for crypto and for fiat. If you have an exchange, that's a bridge, right? If you have like a OTC market, like a future exchange, that's also kind of like a bridge. And also you can provide, service to the crypto market, what like a borrow and lending business do is kind of like also provide service for crypto. It's overall like provide like a centralized service. It's kind of like a good bridge between fiat and cryptocurrency. That's the business model works here. For others, like for a decentralized application, that doesn't make sense for most of the industry or most of the use cases. You have very verify centralized use cases which have really which is really efficient here, and you don't need to put everything on the blockchain. Blockchain is a very a kind of like a distributed ledger which can store like a very a high value information. So you really need to find great use cases which is not suitable to build on top of build on the in the centralized ways, but build in a decentralized way. There are not a lot of model here. So what we can see, there are a lot of decentralized application will fail either because the time is not there yet, or because the business model itself is not really work here. So overall, we are pretty the market don't need such kind of like models. So overall, for us, we really careful about select the company we want to invest. Either you have great business model in the centralized way, or you make something really works in the decentralized ways in long runs.
That's great. And is ETC Labs looking for strategic partners, more team members, or just more projects to invest in right now? And how can they reach out and learn more?
Yeah, sure. We are looking for investing into 20 to 25 projects each year. We just opened the round of like Coherent 3. We're successful doing the first two Coherent. So we welcome for different companies to apply our website to to the new Coherent. Typically we receive I guess last round we received like a 400 applications. Then we select a little bit less than I think 9 or 10 companies to invest. So we are pretty selective about the company we invest. But overall, we welcome more companies to apply the Coherent 3, and then we can take a look, communicate, and see whether we can cooperate.
Great. Well, I'll leave those links in the description box below. That's all the time that we have for this interview, but I thank you for your time, James. It's been a pleasure, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you very much.